Welcome aboard to podcast 40 in the series of the Voyage to back Yonder. You know, it's pretty hilarious when I realize that no situation is ever accidental. When I moved into my apartment in northern Idaho, I started buying some new plants. I hadn't had plants in quite some time because it seemed I was always in a place in my life over about the last 5 years or so that I was going to be moving somewhere sometime. So I'd given all my plants away when I thought I was moving a few years ago. But now I felt like this was the time to begin flexing my green thumb again. And what a joy it is, to have green living things in my temple again, watching the plants grow. That relationship of giving carbon dioxide, water, and sometimes plant food to them and them giving me back oxygen. It seems like kind of a bonding experience. We give each other physical life. And sometimes even if I focus on a plant, I can feel its love energy too. And they're always willing to exchange that love with each other. So things were going well. Then a gnat appeared. And then 2, then 6, then a swarm. I was invaded by gnats. I was so frustrated that I couldn't get rid of them with trying several different means to do so. So the plants ended up being deported from my apartment to the patio. And it was summer, so they didn't mind. But the frustration within me grew like a weed in my garden. So finally, I opted to repot them in new soil, thinking it was the soil that I had bought that had gnat eggs in it. So I completely repotted all of my plants and moved them back inside. No gnats. Victory! That lasted about 2 weeks. Then a gnat appeared in my office. I thought, well, maybe it came in through the window since it was the window by the patio where they'd been excommunicated to. And then another gnat appeared, and then another. So out of panic, I ran to my plants, but didn't see any other gnats yet. So I watched carefully every day, and then more gnats started to appear. As I sat there contemplating throwing all my plants away and just going back to having bamboo plants, a thought popped in my head. Why do you think that gnats don't belong with you? When we lived outside in caves and tents and cabins, that was normal. When did we start to believe that flying bugs were not allowed in our homes? Wow. My supposed to about gnats had me frustrated and even a little anxious. But the gnats had done their assignment for me. They showed me what I asked them to show me. That there are shoulds and supposed tos hanging out inside me, waiting to emerge and give me that contrast I've come here to experience. So now, instead of getting angry and trying to angrily destroy the gnat flying in my face, I gently brush it away from me, and if it returns, I gently squish it between my hands if it chooses to remain floating there. It's peaceful, and it's not a huge deal like it was. There's no anxiousness. There's no need within me to plot their assassination. The gnat just is. And we just move through it. We're all made up of the same love energy. That gnat and those gnats, they're all love energy. They're not an accident. Nothing is here by accident. Everything and everyone has its purpose. There are no extras in the movie. Everything is here to fit the perfect plan. When I sit in that thought, I begin to see the other people and situations in my life that can appear like gnats to me. I become aware of other people sharing their gnat stories with me as well. And they're everywhere. You know, that deer or squirrel is not supposed to run across the road. They should know better. The weather shouldn't interfere with my plans. It should know better. That person should act the way I want them to, even if it's not how they want to act. They should know better than to not obey me. You know, in chatting with friends and family this week, I was reminded that I feel out of control when I'm pulled into the past or the future. You know, the past is already done, so I can't change the situation. You know, the future hasn't happened yet, and it isn't real because it's just what I'm imagining could happen. So that seems out of my control as well. Both the past and the future are full of judgment and fear. You know, the past shows me what people did and how I convicted them or myself for not meeting my expectations. And usually there's some sort of punishment going on because of their conviction or my conviction. That punishment of others normally has some sort of manipulation going on. You know, acting sad toward the person for them letting me down somehow. Or anger toward them, trying to make them submit to my will, or rejecting them to make them chase after me to gain back my love and attention. Does that sound familiar at all to you? I also judge and fear the future because that imagined outcome in my head is either not going to meet what I think needs to happen in order to deem myself lovable, or I'm fearing that if the outcome actually turns out the way I think it is supposed to, it won't last forever. And I know most things don't last forever, right? When I come back to this moment and I take some deep breaths, I realize that the past and the future are just memories or imaginations in my head. When I observe them as just that and not reality as it is happening right now, I free myself from the fears that I've attached to them. In fact, I can even change how I'm remembering a situation. You know, all that judgment and fear that I'm applying to a memory, I can change how I'm interpreting it. Something that meant I was a failure, like a failed relationship or 2 or 5, can turn from failures to awareness that they were all showing me how I felt about myself until I saw it. They were all mirrors for me and actually gifted me with wake-up calls to show me my fear of not being lovable. You know, they were sobering experiences, even if it took me 5 or more relationships to see the light. Can also do that same thing with the future. You know, those dreams and expectations that I'm attaching my self-worth to can be reorganized in my head to be plans and not definitions of who I am. They're just events. And I'm not defined by events unless I decide to define myself by events. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all do it, and we all will do it probably at some point throughout our lives. it will just bring that unstable feeling into our lives. Because when we pretend to define ourselves by the external unstable things, we will experience what it feels like to feel unstable. People change or die. Situations never stay the same. And things deteriorate, break, or are stolen. The external is unstable. So as the gnats appear one by one, and even when they swarm, if we're stressing out about these gnats, we can use these experiences as a flag that we're wandering around in the conditional love world of fear. And it isn't wrong to be wandering around in the theme park of fear. It's why we came here. But if we're ready for a break, or we're bored with what we're experiencing, then that awareness allows us to do those things that bring us back into unconditional love. And it's then that we can embrace our gnats. Until next episode, maybe think about the gnats that are appearing in your life today. What belief about yourself have you attached to that gnat? You can question that belief to see if it feels true for you on the inside. And if you think that you're free of gnats, possibly look at political elections and debates. See if that causes a swarm of expectations in your head. Oh, Lordy. And sometimes there are days where we just don't want to deal with anything. And that is totally okay too, Take some time to distract yourself from the rides of fear. Plop down on a bench and enjoy a giant ice cream cone. Every moment we experience something. And what we experience is all up to us. Enjoy your voyage, Captain. I love you.